The Black Ridge Protocol by Irwin Montrose, Chapter 1. The Ridge. The Black Ridge Trail cut a jagged line through the Welsh mountains, shrouded that morning in a heavy belt of fog. 15 students, aged 9 to 11, trailed after their teacher in mismatched waterproofs and oversized rucksacks, their boots slipping on damp stone. "Stay close, everyone," Miss Eleanor Graves called, glancing over her shoulder. "We're ahead of schedule, but the mist's getting thicker. Single file, please." Her voice carried poorly in the wind. They were 2 hours into a scheduled nature hike, an end-of-term tradition for Penwold Primary, where Eleanor had worked 5 years. The route was supposed to lead to a scenic overlook, a safe picnic point with signal. Radios, GPS, 2 backup adults, protocols had been followed, until they weren't. "Miss Graves?" Liam Carver, smallest in the group, tugged her sleeve. "I think we're going in circles." "We're not. It just feels that way with this fog. Nearly there, I promise." But the overlook never appeared. The GPS unit began to flicker. Eleanor tapped it, frowning, but no signal returned. The fog pressed in from all sides, dulling sound and flattening perspective. She halted, counted heads, 14. "Sam?" she called. "Emily?" Silence. Behind her the children shifted, fidgeted. A few giggled nervously, assuming it was a joke. Eleanor turned back up the path, but Sam and Emily were gone. Just gone. The fog, now tinged yellow by the morning sun, gave nothing away. She tried the radio. "Base, this is Graves. I've got missing children on Ridge Sector 2. Do you copy? Over." She tried again. Again, no response. By the time she turned back, 2 more children were gone. "Everyone, move in. Huddle close now." But the huddle never formed. The children broke in different directions, some running, others standing frozen, unsure. A scream pierced the fog. Then, silence. They vanished one by one, like chess pieces swept from a board. No signs of struggle, no footprints leaving the path, just wet stone and mist. Eleanor ran, shouting names, tripping, clawing at low shrubs. "Where are you? Answer me!" Then suddenly the ground shifted, loose shale beneath her boots. A fall, a dull impact. Her head struck rock. Everything went black. 10 years passed. The petrol station on the edge of Banal-Bryceiniog rarely saw visitors before dawn. Dave Jenkins, 59 ex-fire brigade, was brewing instant coffee when the door slammed open. A woman staggered in, barefoot, clothes ripped, skin streaked with blood and grime. "Please, help me." "Jesus, Miss Graves?" He stared. Pale skin, matted hair, but it was her. Eleanor Graves, older, thinner, dried blood around her temple. She blinked slowly, eyes unfocused. "I've only been gone a week." She collapsed. Dave caught her before she hit the floor. A tremor passed through her as he fumbled for the emergency line. "This is Jenkins at the North Road Station. She's here." Eleanor Graves, alive. Yeah, 10 years late. Chapter 2. The Assessment. The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and damp walls. Eleanor Graves lay on the bed, her wrists lightly strapped, not as a prisoner, but to stop her from ripping out the IV again. Her hands were raw, nails torn. "Where am I?" "You're in Morriston Hospital, Miss Graves. Swansea. You were found 12 hours ago at a filling station just east of the Black Ridge Trail." The man standing beside her wore plain clothes, not a uniform, but his posture said detective more than his words ever could. Detective Inspector Rhys Calder, 42, local, methodical. The kind of man who read every file twice and left emotions in the glove box. He studied Eleanor not as a victim, not yet, but as the key to something unresolved, something buried. "I'm not here to interrogate you. I just want to ask a few things while they run the scans." Eleanor stared blankly at the monitor. Her brain activity spiked according to the machine, but no memories surfaced. "How long did you say I was gone?" 10 years, since the school trip in 2013. 15 children vanished with you. Do you remember anything? "We were on the ridge. The fog was thick. Sam and Emily wandered off. I think I shouted. Then, it's just blank." The hospital's reception was under siege. Cameras flashed. Journalists shouted. The tabloid vans came first, followed by the BBC crew and a Sky News helicopter hovering over the car park. People wanted answers. The headline was too good to ignore. "Ghost teacher returns, survivor found alive." Online forums exploded. Conspiracy theorists resurfaced with Reddit threads about government experiments and time loops. Parents of the missing children posted condolences beneath the news reports, then edited them to anger. "How dare she walk out while our children never came back? What is she hiding? Where's my daughter, Eleanor?" Eleanor flinched at the sound of a nurse drawing the blinds. Something about the light hurt her eyes. Her skin was hypersensitive. The doctors were baffled. Blood work shows elevated cortisol, trace alkaloids in the liver, possibly plant-based, psychotropic. Someone kept you chemically sedated for years. Eleanor shook her head. No, that's not right. It's only been days, maybe a week. Calder scribbled something in his notepad. Where do you think you've been? She hesitated, then blinked slow and long. Underground. There was a humming sound, like electricity, and metal floors. A drip of cold water. Children's shoes. A hand gripping her shoulder. A syringe. Gone. The police formed a perimeter, but it did nothing to stop the tide. Satellite trucks, reporters waving microphones. A father screamed into a camera, "Where's my son?" She came back, "So where's Liam?" Inside the hospital, Calder studied Eleanor again. Her heartbeat was rising, her pupils dilated. "Miss Graves, if someone took you, drugged you, then they may still be out there. And if there's any chance those children are alive." He didn't finish the sentence. "You think I know, don't you? You think I did something?" Calder didn't answer. Across town, a woman watched the broadcast on a cracked television inside a shuttered caravan. Her hands trembled around a teacup. She wasn't supposed to come back. She picked up an old phone and began to dial. Chapter 3, The Reporter. The byline read, "Maya Weaver, Special Correspondent." Underneath was a pixelated photo of Eleanor Graves in a hospital bed, staring at nothing. Maya closed her laptop and leaned back in her car seat. Her press badge was taped to the windshield. She'd been in the hospital car park for 6 hours, waiting, watching. Every survivor story starts the same, but Eleanor Graves, she didn't survive. She slipped through a decade like fog. Maya wasn't local. She was London-raised, Bristol-based, and privately skeptical of anything involving lost time. But something about Eleanor's return had turned her stomach in a way no editor ever could. She flipped through her field notebook. 2013 disappearance. 15 children, 1 teacher. No bodies, no footprints, no radio contact. Area declared geologically unstable and sealed by council. Parents kept quiet. Too quiet. Maya had covered war zones, chemical leaks, child exploitation. She knew silence didn't mean healing. It meant pressure. Someone made this disappear. Then she walked out alive. An hour later, Maya met her contact at a rundown cafe in Neath. Rain hammered the windows. The man who arrived was wiry, 40-ish, with nicotine fingers and eyes that twitched to every sound. "You didn't get this from me." He slid an envelope across the table. Inside, a photocopy of a Penwilt primary staff rota from June 2013. A list of students, all 15 names, and 1 staff name redacted in black ink so dense the paper was scored. Who's missing? There was a second chaperone, male, early 30s, supply teacher, hired last minute, never logged with the council, no photograph. That's not an accident. Maya flipped to the back, scribbled notes in biro. Project BRP, transport personnel must remain off-grid. What's BRP? Black Ridge Protocol. You've already seen the results. He stood, leaving a wet mug and a new tremor in Maya's hands. Later that evening, Maya uploaded a secure draft to her editor marked Hold for Legal. Its opening line read, "Penwilt Primary wasn't an accident. It was an operation and Eleanor Graves just broke protocol." Chapter 4, The Warning. Maya Weaver always trusted her instincts, and right now they were screaming. She sat in her rented flat above a locksmith's in Brecon, staring at the file she downloaded from a hidden archive linked to Black Ridge Protocol, a phrase that hadn't existed online 3 days ago. She'd used her contacts keywords, BRP, Penwilt Ridge, experimental oversight. The search results were buried in a gov.uk backup server marked decommissioned, restricted. What she found was chilling. A behavioral trial, pediatric focus, conducted in remote rural settings under Departmental Directive 19A. Objectives, exposure response, cognitive suppression, memory elasticity. She scrolled to a table marked incidents. Row 17, subject set Delta, 15 minors, 1 adult, compromised. Status obfuscated, no media contact, Ridge site closed. It wasn't a disappearance, it was containment. She grabbed her phone, called a burner number linked to the man she'd met earlier. Straight to voicemail. Her laptop beeped. A new email had appeared. No sender. Subject line: "You were not cleared to access this data." Okay, that's not good. Then came the knock. She froze. The flat was unregistered, rented under a fake name. Only 2 people knew she was here. The knock came again, firmer. Shit. She shut the laptop, pulled her coat over the files, and padded barefoot to the kitchen. A side exit led to the alley. Quietly, she slipped out. Rain slicked the bricks. She moved fast, phone clutched tight. 10 paces behind her, boots splashed. She didn't look back. 20 minutes later, she was in the corner booth of an all-night cafe with a burner laptop and weak tea. Her pulse slowed. Her phone pinged. A new photo. She tapped it open. It was her, exiting the alley just now. They're watching. Maya deleted the burner account, purged her backups, and uploaded the documents to a secure Swiss cloud. A final email sent to her editor with the header, "If I go quiet, start printing." She looked up from the screen and saw a television above the cafe counter. A live feed. Eleanor Graves, being escorted in handcuffs. The crawl text read, "Breaking. Missing teacher considered person of interest in 2013 student disappearance. They're making her the scapegoat." She reached into her pocket and dialed again. This time a different number. A war zone fixer she trusted. "Yeah, it's Weaver. I need a background trace on someone called Calder. Reese Calder. DI. South Wales Police. If he's clean, I'll eat my laptop." Chapter 5. The Interview Room. The walls were NHS gray, the lighting fluorescent, buzzing faintly. The interview room was windowless, a single camera in the top corner blinking red. Eleanor Graves sat at the table with hands folded in front of her, the strap marks from her IV still fresh on her skin. D.I. Riss Calder placed a digital recorder on the table. No preamble, no apology. "This is a voluntary interview, Miss Graves. You're not under arrest. You may stop at any time." "I know how this works." He tapped the recorder. A soft beep. Calder opened a thin folder. No notes, just a faded photograph, a class photo, 2013. 15 children in red jumpers, Eleanor standing behind them, smiling. "I want you to look at this. I remember the day. We took it before the hike. Do you remember what happened after? Fog, the trail. I kept counting heads. They started disappearing. But you didn't call it in. You didn't use the radio. There's no distress log, nothing on the repeater tower." Eleanor's brows drew tight. She shook her head. "I tried, I swear to you. There was static. Then the signal just cut." Calder leaned back. He studied her, then clicked to the second page of the file. A staff log, annotated by hand. "There's no second chaperone listed, but multiple parents recall you mentioning a male teacher joining last minute. You remember a name?" "There was someone. He was quiet. Wore a rain jacket, didn't speak much to the kids. He a clipboard, always taking notes." Calder did not write anything down. "No such person appears on school records. No sign-in, no payroll. No one recalls his face." "Then where did he come from?" The air in the room felt thinner now. Calder glanced toward the camera, just a flicker of the eyes. Then he slid a grainy still across the table. A security image from a 2013 road camera. A white panel van pulling into the Penwilt staff car park. Taken the morning of the trip. That van's plates don't register on any DVLA database. No make, no origin. 3 hours later, you and the children were gone. "They brought us." "Who?" "I don't know. I didn't know it was happening. They sedated us. The clipboard guy, he had something. A syringe. He said it was just a booster. A precaution against altitude sickness." Calder's jaw clenched. Altitude sickness isn't a risk at 900 meters, especially not on a level 1 school trail. He stood, crossed to the small cabinet in the corner, and retrieved a brown envelope. He placed it on the table, but did not open it. "Did you know one of the parents filed a formal complaint the day before the trip? About consent forms. Claimed her child had been given a blood test without permission." "No. I would have reported that. You were the one who signed off on it." Eleanor shook her head violently. "I never would have." But something in her voice gave way. Uncertainty. Not guilt, but fear of the gaps. The recorder whirred again. Louder this time. Calder leaned in. "There's something else. You were listed as fit to return to duty last week, but your dental records show procedures dated just 3 days ago. Which is it?" Eleanor blinked. Her breathing quickened. "I don't know what's real anymore." A constable entered, urgent. Whispered in Calder's ear. Calder's face froze. He turned slowly back to Eleanor. "You've just been leaked to the press." "What?" "Your files. BRP. The project. Someone's digging. Hard. And now there's a journalist asking questions about a missing staff member. You want to start being honest. Now would be the time." But Eleanor didn't speak. Her eyes had gone to the envelope he never opened. Something about it frightened her more than anything else in the room. Chapter 6. The parent who knew Maya Weaver had knocked on 30 doors across 2 counties before she found someone willing to talk. A former parent, a grieving one. The house sat at the edge of Landovery, front garden overgrown, windows taped from the inside. The woman who answered had short-cropped hair and a cigarette already lit. "You're the 4th reporter this year. 5th if you count that idiot from ITV who asked if I believed in aliens. I'm not after a headline. I want the truth about what happened to your daughter and what they made you sign." The woman paused, took a long drag, then opened the door. Her name was Sharon Lee. Her daughter Amelia was 10 when she vanished on the school trip. Inside, the walls were lined with photos. Every surface cluttered with half-finished paperwork and unopened letters. But Amelia's shoes still sat by the door, untouched. She was going to be a vet, memorized every page of that animal book, the one with the glossy spine. She never came back. Sharon nodded once. No tears now, just old fractures never reset. "I told them no, I didn't sign the medical waiver. I crossed it out, wrote a note in block letters. No blood tests, no injections. They took her anyway." Maya leaned forward. "Do you remember anyone on the trip besides Eleanor Graves?" "A man, tall, didn't smile, not from the school, drove a van with no plates, thought he was from some bloody council outreach program." She stood, rummaged through a file box, pulled out a crumpled consent form, black ink notes in the margins, council stamp. One line stood out, field partner BRP cleared via external trust, special category status. Maya froze. They used the same acronym. Sharon lit another cigarette, hands trembling slightly. "I got a letter 6 months later, NHS letterhead, said Amelia was part of a sleep deprivation resilience study, that her data was being anonymized. I didn't even know what that meant." "They admitted that?" "Only in writing, never to my face." Maya snapped a photo of the form, then stopped. "Did the letter mention who ran the study?" Sharon nodded slowly, walked to the kitchen drawer and pulled out a water-stained letter. At the bottom, Dr. Howard M. Ellison, Director, Experimental Programs, Dep 19A. Now operating under private consultancy, Ellison Human Systems Limited. Maya's pulse spiked. She knew that name. A quick search confirmed it. Ellison had once worked with the MOD on combat conditioning for child soldiers in overseas training simulations. Shut down after a whistleblower leaked footage of underage sleep trials in Africa. He vanished from public record in 2012. They buried him and moved the program here. Sharon nodded once, said nothing more. Maya stepped out into the cold evening light, phone pressed to her ear. "Patch me through to Riss Calder, now." Calder's voice came through, low and tense. "Where did you get my number?" "From someone who still cares about the children you let vanish. I have a name, Ellison. I have a mother who wasn't supposed to talk. And I have a file that links your missing teacher to a state-funded psych trial. You need to stop digging, Miss Weaver, for your sake. You're either part of the cover-up or you've been played too. Either way, your house of cards is about to come down." She hung up. Behind her, someone watched from a parked car with tinted windows. No plates. Again. Chapter 7. The face behind the clipboard. The hospital moved Eleanor to a private observation wing. Not for her safety, for theirs. 2 uniformed guards outside the door, no visitors unless cleared, and every meal tasted faintly of sedation. She lay on the bed, wrists unbound now but useless. Her limbs felt heavier each day, not from restraint, from disuse. "I'm not dangerous." No one answered. She'd stopped asking what day it was. Every hour blurred into the next. Lights never truly turned off, just dimmed, as if she were being studied. That thought made her stomach twist. She blinked. A plain envelope had been slipped into her room. What the? She patted across the linoleum, no markings, just her name in black pen, E. Graves. Inside, a printed photo, a screenshot, low res, from a security feed. It showed her from behind in 2013, at the Ridge trailhead, children chatting. A tall man beside her in a long waterproof coat, half turned from the camera, clipboard in hand. Below the image, a typewritten note. "This man was not employed by the school. His name is Dr. Howard Ellison. He disappeared the same day you did. Ask them why they never looked for him." M.W. Eleanor's hand trembled. She dropped onto the edge of the bed, eyes locked on the photo. "I know him." The memory hit like vertigo. A corridor, cold, metal flooring, fluorescent lights flickering, children murmuring, lined up, barefoot. Sedation's temporary. The mind rebounds slower in groups, keep her isolated after cycle 2. What is this place? You're helping us learn. You're part of something bigger, Miss Graves. She saw his face then, narrow features, a small scar on his cheek, eyes that looked through people. Dr. Ellison, the clipboard, the syringe. She snapped out of it, heart hammering. That memory wasn't imagined, it was buried. She turned the envelope over. On the back, Maya had scribbled a burner email address and 2 words. You're not crazy. No, but they want me to think I am. Across the corridor, behind mirrored glass, someone watched the camera feed. They saw her find the note, saw the shift in her posture, saw the fire return to her eyes. A voice came over the internal comms. She's beginning to remember. Move up the schedule. Chapter 8, The Night Nurse. Midnight in the observation wing felt like a different country. Corridors silent, buzzing lights dim to a soft blue. Most patients sedated, most staff on autopilot. But Eleanor Graves lay wide awake. 3rd camera dead. 2 guards distracted, no ward check for 12 minutes. She'd memorized the cycle, pacing, badge access points, the placement of the blind spot by the linen cart. This wasn't paranoia, it was survival. 3 nights ago, after the envelope, the sedation levels increased. She began spitting the pills into her pillowcase. Someone had ordered her pacified. Tonight, she was going to act. A nurse entered, not the usual one, late 20s, dyed auburn hair pulled into a bun. NHS badge, S-Keen Night Support. She looked tired, but her eyes flicked to the corner camera as she entered. She handed over a cup. Hydration check. You're looking more alert than last shift. Eleanor took the cup, but didn't drink. She met the nurse's eyes. Do you know who's really watching this room? A pause. The nurse didn't flinch. I know the CCTV in here doesn't run through the hospital network. I also know the senior consultant on your case isn't listed in any NHS registry. Eleanor's heart raced. Help me get out. The nurse glanced at the closed door, the hallway camera, the audio panel. They'll know. They already do. But if you help me, I can prove this isn't about me. It's about what they did to those children. The nurse hesitated, then reached into her clipboard, pulling out a folded note. It was a printout from an internal email, dated 4 days ago. To Containment Lead BRP Subject E showing neuroresurgence. Prep for transfer. Sedation protocol ineffective. Authorize Phase 2 if resistance escalates. Suggest Ellison be briefed in advance. Ellison's alive. The nurse whispered, Who is he? The man who built this. Eleanor stood. Her knees trembled from days of inactivity, but her will had returned. You've got access to the pharmacy? Yes, and a skeleton crew tonight. Then we start with disabling their comms. I need 10 minutes, just long enough to get off the floor. I'll need your badge and... The nurse froze. Someone's early. Eleanor grabbed the pillowcase, tied the belt from her gown into a sling. Her hands shook, but not from fear. This was a teacher on a mission. The door cracked open. A new figure entered. Not a guard. A man in a long coat, clipboard, scar on his cheek. Miss Graves, I was hoping we could speak again. Chapter 9. Beneath the Penwilt primary building stood like a carcass on the ridge. Shuttered in 2014. Boarded. Unlit. The council claimed subsidence, blamed the mountain's geology, but Maya Weaver knew better. If this place collapsed, why's the perimeter fence electrified? Her contact, Griff Morgan 61 ex-builder and lifelong local, cut the last of the padlocks with silent bolt cutters. 'Cause they didn't want kids playing in the old gym, or anyone seeing what's under it. Maya stepped through. A cold wind rushed out like breath. The air inside smelled of dust and rusted chalkboards. Desks still sat in rows, exercise books yellowed and curling, but it was too intact, too preserved, as if someone was still cataloging it. Did you ever work on the school? Griff hesitated, then pointed to a hatch in the floor beneath what was once the staff room carpet. Council sent us to pour concrete in this room, 3-foot depth. Said it was unstable, but we saw vents, equipment, not plumbing. They buried a lab? He nodded, pried the panel open. Beneath, a sealed shaft, steel ladder leading into blackness. Maya clipped on a headlamp, started descending. Dust coated the rungs. Her shoes hit concrete after 10 feet. A corridor, cold, metal paneling, light fittings stripped. This isn't part of any school, she turned. On the wall, a peeling sign stenciled in faded red. BRP, Cognitive Observation Unit 3. The hallway narrowed. Along the wall, observation windows now shattered. Inside, cots, child-sized, restraint loops still embedded in the metal. Griff stopped at the end of the corridor, shone his torch on a glass panel. Someone was watching them sleep. Monitors lined the walls, outdated medical equipment. Data racks still hummed faintly, powered from somewhere deep below. Maya stepped toward a metal cabinet. Inside files, she opened the first. Cycle 1. Subject Liam Carver, stress index threshold response, light deprivation, group fragmentation. Next page, a scan of Liam's face, age 10. Eyes wide, handwritten note, unusually resilient, suggest conditioning schedule increase. They experimented on them. She flipped further. More names. Amelia Lee, Thomas Merrick, Bethany Rees. Each file stamped, data incomplete, exit compromised. The final page bore one name, Eleanor Graves. Initial resistance. Memory retention persistent. Final classification, suppressed asset. Hold in containment until expiration or reclamation. They never meant to release her. She escaped. Behind her, Griff backed away slowly. I told myself we were sealing off gas lines. I didn't want to believe. Maya turned off her torch. This is the story. This is why they're watching her. And this is why they're going to come for me too. She grabbed the folder, sealed the hatch behind them. Chapter 10. Conditioning. The man in the doorway hadn't aged a day in Eleanor's memory. Same waxen face, same neatly trimmed hair, same clipboard tucked under one arm, as if he were still observing patients rather than commanding rooms. Dr. Howard Ellison. He stepped inside. Door hissed shut behind him. Miss Graves, you're looking remarkably lucid. Eleanor didn't speak. She watched him approach like you watch a spider, motionless until you know which direction it plans to strike. You drugged children. You drugged me. For what? Resilience trials? Psychological warfare? Ellison sat across from her, folded his hands, didn't react. Let's not get carried away with adjectives. You were part of an important study, one you volunteered for, in fact. Bullshit. He raised an eyebrow. You signed a waiver. So did the parents. All within legal parameters at the time. Our mandate was experimental, yes, but not malicious. Eleanor's voice dropped. You erased 15 children from the map. You buried their school. You sedated me for 10 years. Ellison tapped his pen against the clipboard once. Your group represented a statistically unique cognitive cohort. We had one goal, to understand adaptive neuroplasticity under isolation and trauma. You're alive. That means the protocol worked. Eleanor's fists clenched, not from rage, from memory. Cots, cables, monitors showing brainwaves during sleep. A classroom turned into a lab. She took a breath. Liam remembers. Maya Weaver has your files. And if you're here in person, that means containment failed. Finally, something shifted in his face. A flicker. You've been briefed. I was tortured. Ellison stood slowly. I came here to offer clarity, not redemption, and certainly not freedom. He placed a small white envelope on the table. This contains a full confession. You'll sign it. You'll say the incident was fabricated, that the children were killed in a freak accident. You'll take responsibility. Grief, shock, delusion. And if I don't, then we initiate phase 2. You won't wake up next time. Eleanor stared at the envelope. Then she smiled, just slightly. You came all this way with a signature line. That means your hands are tied. Ellison said nothing. You're losing control. That journalist? She's already underground. She's already found the lab. And your project? It's not a secret anymore. Ellison leaned in. You are playing a very dangerous game. You started it. He left the room without another word. 2 minutes later, the sedation drip was reconnected. But Eleanor didn't resist. She had one more card. The nurse who'd helped her had hidden a second phone under the mattress, and on it, already recording, every word Ellison said. Chapter 11. Upload interrupted. Maya Weaver sat in the back of a pub near Cardiff Central, nursing a pint she hadn't touched. Her laptop sat open beneath the table, connected to a burner phone acting as a VPN bridge. The Wi-Fi was public. Anonymous. Slow, but safe, or so she thought. Encrypted PDF. Auto-decrypt key. Upload to 5 mirrors, 3 cloud dumps, and 1 dark archive, 1 shot. She checked her folder again, scanned consent forms, staff files, the BRP lab schematics, the subject report marked Eleanor Graves' 15 incomplete profiles, each with biometric tags. She clicked send. Progress bar. Uploading 12%. That's when the cursor froze, the screen blinked, the browser closed itself. No, she reopened the app. Everything looked normal, except the files were gone. All of them. No, 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 what did I miss? A terminal window opened by itself. You were warned. This action is traceable. Another line typed automatically. Connection compromised. Location logged. Maya yanked the battery from the laptop. She moved fast, grabbed her burner phone, checked its GPS logs. Wiped. No use. She turned to leave, only to find the pub's exit door already slightly ajar. A man in a high-vis jacket stood across the road, phone to his ear. No drink, no food, watching. Okay, plan B. She bolted out the back, into the alley behind the bins. 2 streets over, she reached her fallback, a second laptop hidden in the boot of an old Peugeot she paid cash for last week. Inside, she opened an offline backup. Files intact, uploads burned, but physical drops still good. She grabbed the car keys, dialed a contact, a media lawyer at The Guardian she once helped escape an embargo breach in Turkey. It's Weaver. I've got physical evidence, but someone's watching every exit. Can you get to Snowdonia? Snowdonia? Jesus, Maya, that's 2 hours north. What's in? A dead lab and 15 unburied truths. She hung up. As she started the car, her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. She tapped the screen. A voicemail played. You're persistent? I respect that. But this ends now. There's no story here, only damage. Then silence. We'll see. She tossed the phone out the window. Chapter 12. Lines in the Dust. Detective Inspector Reese Calder sat alone in his car, engine off, wipers frozen mid-arc. Rain clattered against the windscreen in rhythmic defiance. In his hand, a flash drive, no markings, no label, just one file copied from a secure terminal. He hadn't meant to take it, but he hadn't stopped himself either. 15 children, 1 teacher, a decade of silence. He played the file on his dash-mounted tablet, a grainy video. Date stamped, June 12th, 2013. Why are the lights off? Miss Graves, I feel sick. I want to go home. Then, a voice. Cycle 1 has begun. Monitor stress ratios. No contact outside. You said this was safe. You said it was educational. Calder paused the video. My God. He defended BRP in briefings, believed the talk of emergency containment, psychogenic mass hysteria, fog disorientation. He'd even signed off on the closed trail orders. But this was intentional. A controlled trial on unregistered minors. With full knowledge of multiple departments, some of them wearing his badge. He checked the caller ID. Superintendent Marlowe, private line. He let it ring out. The dashboard pinged with a new message. Media breach imminent. Weaver compromised. Graves en route to transfer. Suggest escalation. Neutralize leaks. It wasn't even coded anymore. He drove in silence for a mile, then pulled into a lay-by off the A470. He reached under the passenger seat and retrieved a second burner phone, one given to him by Maya Weaver 2 years ago, back when she was investigating police corruption, and he was still pretending to be above it. He dialed. She answered on the second ring. I thought you were the one tailing me. You're not wrong, but I'm off the leash now. Why the change of heart? Because I watched a 10-year-old boy scream for his mother while Ellison took notes. There was a pause. Then, I've got the data, the physical files. I'm heading north, but they're coming fast. I'll meet you halfway. There's an old SAR station off the Ridge Trail. Still has satellite. I'll clear it. Get ready to upload. If this is a trap, it's not, but it might be our only chance. He hung up, threw his badge in the glove box, drove east. D.I. Calder wasn't on duty anymore. He was defecting. Chapter 13, The Transfer. The ambulance rolled through gray valleys at 5:12 a.m., mist curling off the road in pale ribbons. Inside, Eleanor Graves lay strapped to a stretcher, eyes half-lidded, heart beating slow. On paper, she was being transferred to a specialist memory trauma facility. In reality, Phase 2 isolation. Permanent. The sedatives in her drip were active. But Eleanor had prepared 3 days of pill hoarding, bloodline resistance building, and one hidden ally. Stay limp. Don't blink too fast. Wait for the signal. Across from her sat Nurse Keene, dressed as standard EMS. Beside her, a uniformed security agent monitored vitals on a tablet. Pulse stable. Oxygen's holding. Should be out cold by now. She will be. Give it time. They passed a road sign for a maintenance lay-by. The one Keene had flagged. Inside her coat pocket, a modified auto-injector. Stolen from the med locker. Filled not with sedative, but adrenaline. Spiking slightly. Might be early withdrawal. Keene stood. Adjusting line. She'll fade again. She leaned over Eleanor, whispered into her ear, Ready? Now? Eleanor's eyes snapped open. Get off me. She slammed her knee sideways into the guard's ribs, knocking the tablet loose. Keen shoved the stretcher hard, slamming the man into the wall. Eleanor tore free of the wrist strap, ripped the IV from her arm, and grabbed the fallen med kit. The vehicle swerved. What the hell's going on back? Too late. The ambulance skidded to a stop on the wet tarmac. Keen kicked open the rear door. Eleanor tumbled out, landing on gravel, rolling hard. She came up bleeding, but free. Keep moving, don't stop. Keen tossed her a jacket, a burner phone, and a small flash drive. That's the full patient log. Unredacted. Your name, their timeline, everything. Why are you helping me? My niece was one of the 15. Eleanor froze. Keen pointed toward a trail cutting into the woods. You've got maybe 10 minutes before they call in drones. There's a comms hut half a mile up the ridge. They'll be watching the roads. Then I go uphill. Eleanor ran. Blood in her mouth, stones in her boots, and in her pocket, proof of everything they'd done. Behind her, the morning mist swallowed the ambulance whole. Chapter 14. The Mother and the Letter. The kettle whistled once, then fell silent. Sharon Lee stood at the sink, staring into her garden. A swing moved slightly in the breeze. The shoes by the back door still fit no one. Milk. No sugar. She poured 2 cups, though only one was needed. She always made 2. On the kitchen table sat an envelope, no stamp, hand-delivered. The handwriting was unfamiliar, precise. She opened it. Inside, a printed page. We believe your daughter Amelia was part of a classified experimental program known as Black Ridge Protocol. Evidence is surfacing. You were not wrong to question the consent form. They used her. You are not alone. M.W. Sharon read it. Twice. Then again, she was right. She walked to the living room, opened the drawer she hadn't touched in 5 years. Inside a box. Inside the box, a permission slip, a worn teddy bear, a USB drive labeled 2013 school photos. She turned on the old laptop. The slideshow opened. Amelia's face, freckles, that impossible grin. Next slide, the class, red jumpers, Eleanor Graves smiling, distracted. But Sharon froze on the third image, far right, not in uniform. A man with a clipboard, half-cropped, watching the children, not the camera. You bastard. The screen flickered. New message. Incoming call, unknown source, she answered. Instinct, not logic. Who is this? You've been contacted, that's unfortunate. Is it, I kept the originals, hard copies, I made duplicates. You think I didn't know something was off? You're angry, I understand. But if this information goes public, no one will benefit. No bodies will be returned. No peace will come. Good. She deleted nothing. Instead, she printed the email, sealed it in an envelope marked "Open if I'm gone" and placed it by the door. Then she brewed another cup of tea, because now she knew, and someone would answer for it. Chapter 15. The Outpost. The SAR outpost stood above the tree line, squat and angular, built into the rocks like it belonged there, once used for mountain rescue, now silent, decommissioned. Except for one thing, the satellite link still pulsed green. Eleanor Graves limped up the final stretch of trail, soaked through, boots torn. Her breath came in sharp bursts, but her grip on the flash drive was tight. Almost there. She crested the ridge and saw 2 figures waiting by the door. Maya and Calder. You made it. Barely. We followed different devils. You got the files? Most of them, but they're watching every connection now. We get one shot at this before they trace the link. Calder unlocked the steel door. Inside, a generator hum. Flickering lights. A single workstation booting up. They sealed the door behind them. Eleanor dropped the flash drive onto the console. Maya slid hers in beside it. Double upload. 2 sources. Mutual confirmation. Progress bar. Uploading 1%. This is real. It's actually happening. Calder watched the window. They'll come. Satellite pings like this send a beacon. My guess, 6 minutes. Eleanor opened the final file. A directory of subject class deltas. Each child's name. Liam, Amelia, Bethany, Tom. Next to each, brainwave indexes, trauma phase logs, survival predictions, and one last column, disposition outcome. They wrote us off like data points. Maya uploaded the Penwolf blueprints, lab photos, and Eleanor's interview audio from the hospital. Then she looked up. They can't bury this again. Calder raised binoculars. 2 black vans, unmarked, 500 meters and closing. Eleanor stood, blood still crusted on her collar. Let them come. Maya hit send. The files scattered to 10 outlets. Newsrooms, NGO servers, 1 international tribunal in Geneva. The truth was loose. A crash shook the building. They'd been found. Chapter 16. The broadcast. It started as a ripple. An unverified post on an encrypted forum, a link that looked fake until the screenshots loaded. Then the servers groaned. At 6:07 a.m., the first compressed leak packet hit a Spanish newspaper archive. Then Dutch servers. Then the public feeds of a major human rights watchdog. The headline broke across Sky News at 6:12 a.m. Alleged government documents detail a decade-long psychological study involving Welsh schoolchildren who vanished during a 2013 class trip. The children were never reported deceased. BBC, Jazeera, Reuters, even RT and independent bloggers jumped on it. The name Black Ridge Protocol was trending worldwide within the hour. At 6:09 a.m., the first unedited photo of the lab below Penwilt Primary aired on national television. Rows of child-sized cots, medical restraints, observation monitors, all real. In a small house in Merthyr Tydfil, a man named Owain Merrick dropped his mug. Porcelain shattered across the kitchen tile. On the screen, his son Tom's face, aged 10, smiling. A scan of his EEG readings beside it. "You never ran away," his wife sobbed silently beside him, gripping the edge of the chair. In Llandovery, Sharon Lee watched alone. Her kitchen light flickered as the satellite dish struggled with the feed. The anchor was still talking, but Sharon only heard one word: verified. "They believe me now." She looked at the photo still pinned to her fridge, Amelia beaming in her red jumper. Then at the files she'd saved. She picked up the landline. A voice answered, an NGO whistleblower desk. "I have more records, signed forms, witness statements. I want to go on the record." By 7:02 a.m., the Prime Minister was informed. By 7:05, the official government line was, "We are launching a full investigation. These allegations, if true, represent a horrific abuse of public trust." But it was too late. The images were everywhere. Children drugged, monitored, vanished. A name echoed across screens: Eleanor Graves. First branded as mad, now seen for what she was, the witness they couldn't silence. Chapter 17, The Countermeasure. The windows of Ellison's private suite overlooked nothing, a high-security compound in an undisclosed Scandinavian jurisdiction. Polished concrete, frosted glass, no fingerprints on the handles. He sat at a bespoke teak desk. Shirt cuffs immaculate, no tie. 3 screens glowed before him. Each one displayed collapse. Screen 1, live satellite feed, the SAR outpost flanked by tactical vans and a rising infrared signature. Screen 2, news dashboards, real-time mentions of Black Ridge Protocol, climbing past 17 million. Screen 3, internal messaging client, redacted agent names, broken command chains, pending terminations. Impressive. They did it. He sipped black coffee. Set the cup down with surgical precision. Protocols compromised, covers burned, asset containment failed. He opened a hidden drawer, removed a silver case. Inside, a single biometric chip and a thin injection rig. Gen K, Cognitive Reset Device Phase 3, End of Chain Neutralization. He stared at it for a long moment, didn't touch it. Eleanor Graves, identified in real-time broadcast loop, Calder active. Defected. Maya Weaver's signal relayed through Oslo node. The investigator, the whistleblower, and the survivor. How quaint. He tapped a button on the desk. A screen slid open behind him, revealing a live briefing with 3 men in suits. No visible rank, all seated, all waiting. "We have a situation." "You've had one. You're out of leash, Doctor." "Out of leash, not out of contingency." "Shall I proceed with Protocol 12? That's scorched earth." "No, it's clean closure." Silence. "And your assets? The children, Graves?" "Recover if possible, but if not, reclassify as no longer assets." They nodded. The feed ended. He stood, crossed the room to a private vault, pressed his palm to the reader. Access granted. Inside, a satellite uplink, 4 blank passports, 3 untraceable vials of memory suppressants, 1 folder marked Genesis. He opened it. Inside, a plan. Phase 3 deployment, international trial sites preliminary. Target demographics, urban, controlled trauma stimuli, population-wide data sync via wearable integrations. "If I can't finish the curriculum, I'll change the school." Ellison closed the file, adjusted his cuffs. Outside, snow began to fall. He wasn't running, he was restarting. Chapter 18, The Siege. The generator blew at 7:14 a.m. Lights snapped out. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Smoke filled the outpost in seconds. Eleanor ducked behind the central desk. Maya grabbed the sat phone. Calder raised his sidearm. Standard issue, 4 rounds left. "Front entry breach in 10. They'll cut the uplink next. We already sent it. Then the only question is, who's expendable?" Through the narrow window, two tactical operators approached in formation. Black fatigues, no insignia, weapons drawn. These weren't police. Private, probably Ellison's contractors. Eyes-only recovery. Maya pointed to the back wall, an old SAR tunnel exit, half buried in rock and frost. Where's it go? Downhill. Radio tower ruins. Line of sight to the north slope, maybe 15 minutes if we run. Let's give them a lesson in memory. The door exploded inward. They moved as one. Maya grabbed the drives. Eleanor swept the last printouts into a thermal bag. Calder opened fire, 2 rounds into the breach point. They dove through the SAR tunnel hatch. Dark, icy, tight. Did we get it all? 2 full sets. I sent one to Norway, the other to the tribunal server. But if they breach the keys, then we stall them. They reached the clearing. The drone above them reoriented. Its spotlight hit the snow, then pivoted, then blinked out. What was that? That wasn't us. On the ridge above them, a silhouette waved from behind a fallen mast. Another survivor, another ally. The echo of a teenage voice carried faintly across the wind. You're not the only ones left. Eleanor froze. She knew that voice. Liam? Chapter 19, The Witness Who Remembers. The ridge was still slick with melting snow as Eleanor climbed the final ledge. Above, framed in weak morning light, stood a boy. No, not a boy now. Liam Carver, 18, gaunt, pale, eyes sharp but clouded with things no child should hold. Liam, he didn't smile. I remember everything. Calder and Maya stood back as Eleanor stepped forward. He looked older than he should, aged from the inside out. His hands twitched slightly when he saw her. You left me there. I didn't know. I thought they told me I was the only one. They let you think that. He pulled a small, scorched tablet from a satchel. The screen cracked. The logo stripped. This is the original admin panel from the lab. I memorized the unlock pattern. You won't find this code anywhere. Eleanor reached for it. How did you get it? Liam's voice darkened slightly. I wasn't rescued. I wasn't released. I walked out when the failsafe failed. I've been hiding ever since. He knelt beside the snow-crusted mast, lifted a tarp. Underneath, a makeshift workstation powered by scavenged drone cores and solar panels. You built all this? Ellison taught us systems, didn't think we'd use them against him. Maya connected her surviving backup drive. The screen lit up. Liam entered the pattern. A hidden folder appeared. Genesis Trial Architect Ellison's blueprint for Phase 3. Global deployment, predictive behavior conditioning, memory loop recalibration. This is it. This is the whole operation. Calder leaned in. This data alone could bring down 3 departments. There's more, he scrolled. Video logs, Cycle 3. Unclassified subject files, 17 surviving children. Facility blueprints, Phase 2 underground chambers, not yet destroyed. You kept everything. Liam nodded once. I didn't survive just to be a footnote. I survived to finish it. The wind shifted. The drone that once hunted them was now disabled. The sky was clear. And the file transfer began again, this time with Liam's memory as the authentication key. Chapter 20, The Cost of Knowing. At 9:41 a.m., the second wave of data went live. This time unredacted, full logs, video proof, Phase 3 schematics, no spin, no deniability. The broadcast ran simultaneously on 4 continents. Footage of the underground lab, the children sedated, monitored, forgotten, names, files, signatures of senior officials, real, traceable, damning. A final image lingered on screen, Dr. Howard Ellison, unblurred. In Geneva, the International Tribunal issued an emergency resolution to freeze all assets tied to Department 19A. In London, protesters gathered outside Westminster before noon. In Cardiff, a crowd of 47 grieving families stood in silence holding portraits of children who never came home. Eleanor Graves watched it unfold from a debrief shelter near Aberystwyth. Wrapped in a borrowed coat, no name tag, no status, just eyes that had seen too much. They believe me now. Maya sat beside her, hand on hers. They don't just believe you, they owe you. D.I. Calder was no longer D.I. Calder. He handed in his badge that afternoon, gave full testimony under oath, named names, cited times. His voice was tired, but clean. This wasn't a failure of process, it was a choice. Liam Carver didn't go to the tribunal. He vanished again, not out of fear, out of control. But before he left, he gave Maya one final audio file. They used us to study fear. Then they became afraid of what we'd remember. Now they'll remember us instead. The news cycle moved on, as it always does. But the story left scars. Investigations were launched, funds frozen, systems audited. But no arrests, no convictions. Because the real lesson was this: truth doesn't fix what was broken, but it stops them breaking more. Eleanor moved to a quiet village, no interviews, no memoirs. Maya returned to journalism, but under no byline. Calder stayed in Wales, helped build support groups for BRP's surviving victims. And somewhere, far north, Liam carved his name into stone, just once, not for the world, for himself. End. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, ring the bell, and tell your friends.